Hi everyone, my name is Eperika Creations. Today I'm going to make another type of jumpsuit because I noticed that some of us did not understand the other jumpsuits because of the positioning of the camera. So I decided to upload another one. I hope this will help. Okay, these are the measurements that we'll need. These are the fabric that we're going to use for it. We're going to use this one for the lower part and we're going to use this one for the upper one, for the top. And we're going to start from the lower part. We're going to cut the lower part now. And for us to get the actual length for the lower part, what we'll do is to minus half length from the full length. So her half length is 16. So 16 minus, and then her full length is 56. So 16 minus 56 is 40. Or you can put your tape like this. This is our starting point here. And this line is a guide. I just put this line here as a guide. And this one is a starting point. So you can put the 16 here and measure 40. Or her full length is 56. Minus her half length. This is full length 56 and half length is 16. Minus 16 is equals to 40. So because we are making jumpsuit, we'll add 3 inches for ease. So 3 inches plus 3 inches is 43 plus okay, so is 43 plus seam allowance, like a seam allowance of 1 inch, 2 inch, or 1.5. So I'll add 1.5 plus 1.5 for seam allowance, which is 44.5. So the length of this one is going to be 44.5. So from this starting point, because this fabric is by 45, but if you're making your own, if you're taller than her, if you want more than that, you will turn your fabric the other way. So here I have 44.5 there here, so it's enough. So okay, for us to know how many fabric that we'll put on foot for this front part of the lower part of the jumpsuit, so we'll work with her thigh measurements, because her thigh measurement is biggest circumference. Although her hip is 34 and her thigh is 21, but hip is divided into 4, which is 34 divided by 4 is 8.5, but her thigh is 21. 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. So we're going to work with thigh measurement. So thigh measurement plus 2 inches for just 2 inches allowance. So we have 12.5 here. We have up to, yeah, we have enough. We have 12.5. Okay, for us to get the crotch depth is hip divided by 4. So her hip is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5, and this is 8.5, and plus 3 inches for ease because it's jumpsuit, and that 3 inches is 11.5. So mark 11.5 here. This is 11.5 line. Okay, so on this line I'm going to put her thigh measurement on this line, which is 10.5. This is 10.5, 10.5 here. So okay, for us to get the crotch line, we're going to add her hip measurement on this same line also. So her hip is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. So we're going to put 8.5 on this line. 8.5 here. So this one is going to be, this is 2 inches, and this 2 inches is going to be the crush line. So 8.5. Okay, so for us to curve it here, we're going to mark like 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches. So you can curve it, or you can use this to curve it. Okay, her knee length is 37, not 34. So I'll put this tape here. This is the half length. I put the half length on the starting point, that starting line, and get 37 here. This is 37, and this one is the full length, and this one is seam allowance. So now I want to get the middle of this fabric. Is 12.5. 12.5 divided by 2 is 6.25. 6.25. 6.25. Here I'll get the middle here also. This is the ankle. So I want to get the middle here. It's 6.25. 6.25. Okay, this is the middle. Okay, so I want to mark her knee measurements. So her knee measurement circumference is 17. So I'll divide it into 2. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. So this is the middle of this fabric. This is the middle here. So I'll put 8.5 on this line. I want to get 8.5 in the middle here. So what I will do on this middle point here, I'll put 4.25. That is 8.5 divided by 2. It's 4.25. So I'll put 4.25 here. I'll mark 4.25 on this side. I'll mark 8.5. Yeah, 4.25 plus 4.25 is 8.5. So this is her knee measurement, the knee circumference from here to here, half of it, half of 17. So now I'm going to mark the ankle circumference. Her ankle circumference is 15. 15 divided by 2. This is the middle point. So 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. 7.5 because divided by 2. So I want to get 7.5 here. So, but for me to get it, I'll put 3.75 here, 3.75 in the on the middle point here. So 3.75. And here 7.5. This is 7.5. 3.75 plus 3.75 is 7.5. Okay. So this is the ankle. This one is the seam. This one is seam allowance. This is the full length. This is the full length. This is the full length here. This is the full length here, and this is seam allowance. So now I'm going to take the waist measurement now to add the seam allowance also. So her waist is 27. 27 divided by 4 is 6.7. 6.75, which is 6¾ So I'll take the measurement from here, from this line, 6¾ plus 1 inch that, and 1.5 for seam allowance, which is 2.5. So I added 2.5 seam allowance, half for here, 2.5 seam allowance, 1 inch for that if you want to add that to your own, and 1.5 for seam allowance. So here I'll add seam allowance also. Here I'll add I'll add ½ inch. So here, this is the knee circumference from here to here. Then I'll add seam allowance here. I'll also add half inch here. Seam allowance. I'll do the same here on the ankle here. This is the ankle from here to here, the circumference, ankle circumference. So I'll add ½ inch on this side. Okay, so now I'm going to connect the lines. So I'll connect this. This is the waistline. This is the seam. I added 2.5 inches seam allowance on the waistline. So I connected it from that seam allowance on the waistline to the seam allowance on the hip line, which is this one is ½ inch. So from there I'll connect it to the knee. And this line is not included. This one was the line that I had here before. So I'll connect it to seam allowance. Okay, this is waistline. I added seam allowance, 2.5 inches seam allowance. So from that 2.5 inches seam allowance, I connected it to the hip line, and here I have a ½ inch seam allowance. So from the hip line, I'll connect it to this line. See how this is the seam allowance here. So I'll connect it there. But this line that I had here before, the starting point, I'll clean it to avoid confusion. Okay, now I'll connect it from this point, the hip line, the seam allowance here, to this seam allowance on the knee line, on the knee circumference. Okay, so also here I'll connect this one like this to the knee. So from here I'll use this straight ruler. So this is the seam allowance here, this is the ankle. Then the seam allowance, I'll connect it from here to the seam allowance on this side. Then from this point also, I'll connect it to this line, the ankle. From the knee, I'll connect it again to the ankle with this. Okay, I'm going to cut it out now. This is seam allowance, this is the full length. So here I'll fold it like this. Then I'll trim off this starting point. Okay, I want to mark my darts now. I'll mark because I'll use 1/2 inch to join this side. I'll mark 1/2 inch. From that 1/2 inch, I'll mark 4 inches. I'll use 4 inches for her dart because it's standard. But if your nipple to nipple is more than 4 inches, you will use your nipple to nipple measurements. But so her own, I can use a standard for her. So this is where I'll put my darts. So five inches dart. 5 inches. So from here, I'll mark 1/2 on this side and 1/2 on this side also. Okay, so we'll connect it to that 5 inches. So this is my dart. On the back and the other front one, you see it's 2. You will do the same on this one. Okay, I want to cut the back one. I've folded fabric to cut the back one, but when you're folding your fabric for the back one, you will add, depending on your measurements, like hers, I'll add 1 inch here. But if your hip is more than 37 inches, you can add 2 inches here. On top of, you can have 2 inches here. And this side, I marked 3 inches on this side. You can see I have 3 inches on this side. So here, 1 inch here. So I'll connect it to this point. I'll connect it like this. So here I'll add a seam allowance of 1.5 inches. for zip. Then I'll connect it. It. So on this side I'll add 2 inches. Okay, I added 1.5 inches seam allowance on this upper part, but I noticed that I don't have enough to add 1 inch on the top of this, on top, so I reduced the seam allowance to 0.5 inches so that I can use that 1 inch on this place, on this side. So when you're folding your fabric, I think it's better to fold it the other way. To fold it, I'll show you how to fold it. So I'll cut it now. Okay, so you can see this is the only one that I have for seam allowance now. I want to fold it before I'll cut it there. Okay, this one is the front one, and this one is the back one, the 2 back one. These ones are the back one. So I want to show you how you can fold your fabric. You see, you fold it like this. fold it like this so that you get the actual length that you want. You fold it this way, but before you so I'm going to cut the pocket now. So this is the front part of the jumpsuit, the two front parts. So I'll mark 3 inches here. This is 3 inches. On this side I'll mark 7 inches. So from this point I'll connect it to this side. So if you want, you can connect it straight. If you like, you can curve it. So like this. So I'm going to cut it out. So this is pocket. So this one is the pocket, the one that will be inside here. The one that will be here. This is the pocket that will be inside. So it's 12 by 12. See, this is 12 inches. You can use 13 inches, 13 by 12. This is the upper part, the one that will be on top. And then this is the length. This is 12. You can also use 11.5. You can use 11.5 here. You can use 12. On this side, you can use 13 inches. You can use 12 inches. So when it's unfold, it will be. See, this is how it will be inside. You see, 6 inches or 6.5. Okay, this is where to take tie measurement on your tie, upper part of your tie. So you put tape like this. You put tape like this. This is how to take tie measurements.